you can only get so much done in the industry with what you've got.
Yep.
And the major stopping point we have now that we're at is a lack of people to do the work.
Right.
Really, lack of trades, a lack of, even with us as a supplier, we're still very light on for staff. And I talk to people that come through our showroom and do selections, and we had a doctor in the other day, and she was telling me about the medical industry, and it sounds exactly like what's going on in the construction industry. Everyone's just short of people. And so that's pretty much the major problem we have in terms of getting houses built.
This is the Build Out West podcast with your host Tony Hyde from Evolution House and Lawn Specialists and Catherine Smith from Build Bright Builder Brokers.
If you guys are looking to build in WA or simply curious to see what's going on in building, you guys are in the right place. We're here to give insight with professionals in the game, coming to give the inside scoop. Episodes are uploaded weekly, so don't worry, we don't skip a beat and you won't either. Like, share, subscribe, sit back, relax, and let's go.
Hello and welcome to the Build Out West podcast with your host Tony Hyde.
And Catherine Smith, good morning.
How are we?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Welcome to 2025.
We're alive. It's rocking and rolling.
In business.
And we got a brand new sign. How good is that?
We're going black.
This is it.
Back for 2025.
But today we've got an awesome guest with us, Dan Waters from Mitre. Dan, how are you?
Tony, good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, very good.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, I'm excited. You've got a lot of content to get through today.
Oh, we do we? Good. Yeah. There's always a lot of information in the building industry. Yeah, especially when it comes to products and what's going on.
Yeah, I think this podcast will be especially interesting for people who are in building, in construction in WA. They want to know what's actually, coming up, what's an issue. And then obviously anyone that's really in building probably or looking to build will be interested in this podcast. And I think that's really the target for today, is really to inform people what's happening from the back end and, letting people know any issues that are coming up or what to look out for.
Exciting new stuff, yeah.
And so that back end that, Tony and I, we first met, we met as I was your supplier.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Building, I was supplying, that's how we first met. And so, and that's I guess, my background is as a supplier in the construction industry. So I've been doing it for 10 plus years. I will just stop at 10. Can't remember further back than that. And been working with Mitre 10 now for 3-4 years. I think it's been versatile Mitre 10, and we're part of that Mitre 10 brand, which is national as well. So that gives us all that national buying power.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, listen, we've been working together for a while now. So great to have you on the show. Finally, get you in and get some of that information, that knowledge you've got in your head out on there, and give the people the education of what's happening and where we're at, because it's changing rapidly, you know what I mean? Like with all the new standards coming in, the new requirements. So yeah, we'll touch on that as we go through.
Absolutely.
Alrighty. So look, a little bit, you gave us a lot about yourself, but I think maybe a little bit more. Give us a little bit more about yourself.
Sure,
you kind of brushed over that there.
Yeah, I did. And it's one of those things, I guess, is, I have been in the industry for a while and from a pretty young age, interested in the build side of things. And I was encouraged to be a carpenter. So I've always had an interest in the building industry, but I never did a trade. And I've ended up on the supply side of things.
Yeah.
And the building industry, on average, it pays better than other industries. I've been out of the building industry for a period of time. But again, it's it keeps drawing me back.
Yeah. I can feel it.
Yeah, it is a great industry. So we do have some troubles. We've dealt with those sort of issues. So I guess we deal with issues every day. But from the supply side of things, we've been through a bit of a unique period of time. Yeah. And had some issues, but it seems to be leveling out now.
So what are we seeing in the industry then? I suppose with regards to supply. What we're seeing is good, the bad, what's the supply thing, what we're seeing, the challenges or the good things, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, the good things is that, that supply has leveled out from, the past 4 years. And I really think it's a little bit of supply and demand in the sense of, you can only get so much done in the industry with what you've got.
Yep.
And the major stopping point we have now that we're at is a lack of people to do the work.
Right.
Really, lack of trades, lack of, even with us as a supplier, we're still very light on for staff. And I talk to people that come through our showroom and do selections, and we had a doctor in the other day, and she was telling me about the medical industry, and it sounds exactly like what's going on in the construction industry. Everyone's just short of people. And so that's pretty much the major problem we have in terms of getting houses built.
Do you think that's based on, sort of that post-COVID, boom of construction and things like that, sort of like jumping off that?
Yeah, definitely. And I think, obviously we saw the demand for housing go through the roof, and building times blow out because there just wasn't enough people to get to do that work.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it comes from the immigration policy. Not to get political, and I haven't really followed it, but I think we've had a high number of people come into Australia, which can be good for the country as well. We've had a high number of people come into the country, and that's it, put pressure on housing demand, and that's also I don't know where all these people are, where they're working, but it'd be great to get them in the industry and lend a hand if they're not, but. Yeah, so it's a bit of a puzzle piece, I guess, trying to fit this together, and we're just at a bit of an equilibrium, I think, where supply and demand are well matched, and we're just all sort of dealing with the lack of people and the volume of work that we're still putting through.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So in terms of global issues, what would you say is impacting the supply trade?
Yeah, so on the supply side of things for global issues, we're seeing shipping come down recently. That went through the roof middle of last year, but that's come down. So again, we're seeing some good signs. One of the concerning things is what's happening with the US and China tariffs that are going into place. I think if the US they're going ahead and putting tariffs on products out of China or into the US from China, and that's going to have an effect on supply and demand out of China. So if anything, we might actually see if there's a lack of demand for Chinese product, because the US is a massive market, then we might actually see prices come back in China perhaps, or things get a little bit more competitive.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
That could happen, but we haven't seen a lot of prices come down, and we're still seeing price increases from suppliers as well. We're still seeing sort of a 4.1%, 5%, as much as a 15% price increase from suppliers. Yeah, still not seeing those prices come back.
What percentage would you say actually comes from China in terms of products?
It's surprising when you look at it.
Yeah.
And even if you look at what we're supplying WA alone for a build, a lot of it does come locally. So, which is great. I mean, timber, that's a different story, but we do have some product being produced down in Bridgetown. Thank you. I was going to say Bridgewater. Bridgetown. They do a lot of treatment down there.
Yeah.
And we've shut down a lot of timber processing in the southwest recently. But even still, timber is still coming a lot of it's out of New Zealand.
Okay.
And then treated either in New Zealand or Australia. Brick is made locally. Cement from Coburn Cement, that's made locally.
Yes.
We've got, you look at your brick hardware just around the corner from us in Malaga. We've got Goodwill Engineering. They make the wire ties for the brickwork.
Yep.
So a lot of stuff is actually made locally. You'd be surprised in the construction industry.
Actually quite like important parts as well, like major parts in terms of the housing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
doors, same deal. It's not until you get to more technical stuff like appliances, door hardware, that you start to see overseas supply.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So I guess that's the thing where it's like if we are using a lot of local suppliers, tariffs might only impact maybe 20% of the house overall. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so it may not have a big impact.
Right. I think that would come back to is where those local suppliers are getting their raw materials from to make these products. If they're coming from China, then the luggage to get them in and stuff will cost more money. Yeah, I mean certainly the bricklaying and the brick demand is still high. And I think that's why we thought that'd maybe ease when we saw more of the veneer type, but it's certainly not slowing it down. Being out there in the industry, I can see that, the demand for bricklayers is still high. That's starting to rise again. I believe their main brick supplier is up for sale. That could have an impact on I'm not sure if it's true or not, it's just rumours we hear through the industry. Yeah, don't know.
Pretty sure they're for sale.
But
So anyone's got deep pockets, it might be a good time to buy.
The concerning thing about that would be is once it's sold, the person on it would want to make some money back, so you can see the prices of bricks going up again. I think this is the first month I've seen house prices, as in like the from builders. So the price list coming from builders hasn't went up for the first month in about maybe 4 or 5. Yes. So those price increases are still creeping in. They're not huge, couple of grand, but they're still creeping in every month. This is the first month I've seen it settle.
Yes.
But I do believe, I think when the brick company's sold, I can see that potential of the brick price going
the
up.
brick handover will be interesting time.
It'll be worth to
I don't
watch.
know if anyone has any buyers at the moment, so we'll see what happens for 2025 with that.
And they're struggling to keep up with the demand for bricks that we want out there as well, because they're still building.
Even though builders that are just like a brick veneer, they won't be as impacted than a full double brick home, but obviously still.
And the big thing is it's fit like which could the best word, like finishing bricks. That's what the veneer wants. It's all face bricks, which means they'll have to be put up properly and cleaned, and that, whereas the internal bricks can just literally be thrown up because they're hidden, so they're not as they don't look as good, but they're completely fine. It's just that they're going to slap gyp rock over the top of it, or plaster floating set, and then you won't see it. And that's where those finishing bricks take a little bit longer to make, because they've got to be like bang on, do you know what I mean? You can't slices and things in them.
So Dan, we had so much conversation around the stone bench tops last year. Obviously there was a lot of changes. Clients see and even just supply changes to that. What's going on with that topic?
Yeah, so your listeners are probably a full book on that if you've already covered off. From our point of view, obviously, engineered stone is out.
Yeah.
But you still have some other alternatives like acrylic bench tops, which are stone look and stone feel as well.
Yeah.
And then there is actually natural stone. You can still use natural stone. There is some new natural stone that landed towards the end of last year with one supplier that was coming out of India.
Okay.
And the price was really good. Great looking product, great looking stone, very cost effective product, and natural stone. So you're still getting the real deal at the same price, or if a little bit less than what you'd pay for, say, like an acrylic bench top.
Yeah, okay.
So some really good value for money coming into the market. And this is what happens is when supply is disrupted by a change in the law, for example, in stone, where the government just shut it down for good reasons. Then you see these suppliers, our suppliers pulling levers to try and get a product in there to make up for sales, essentially, because they're going to lose business. And, we saw a similar thing, so you have what you have there when that happens is maybe hiccups in supply. And we saw that again with the change from in your tap where that was changed recently to be lead free.
Okay.
So again, a good step in the right direction. It's all, we're doing the right thing in terms of health.
So just sorry to cut you off. So essentially the government goes, we're not permitting this now. This has to be changed. And then you have to sort of scramble and
we do.
get going. Do you guys get a bit of a heads up from the government? No. Okay.
No. The market, the journalists hear it at the same time we're hearing it.
Okay.
So
frustrating.
It's always been the case, and that's just the way it is. That's fine. We've just got to, there is a bit of a scramble involved.
Yes.
But there's a lot of people in the industry that get affected by these changes. So there's a lot of heads involved in putting the ship back on the right track. But so we've got, and that really comes down to those good relationships we have with suppliers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen things like that happen, and now we're starting to see in the smaller products like your bench tops and like your taps and stuff. Yeah. But it's the same thing as when they went from double brick to the veneer. They went right. Some went in the timber frame, some went down in the steel frame, and they stuck to it. Now we're seeing most building companies will give you an option of all. I'm certainly seeing it with some of our suppliers or our builders there. They're going, do you want steel? Do you want timber? They're closer to the ocean. They're really pushing timber frame because it's obviously better with your coastal conditions and things like that. And we're starting to see they're talking more about trusses more and more now. They're talking about prefabbed walls going in, the timber. So that's when we get it right, that because it's not so much the build time, it's the tradies to put them up, or it's going through the factories to be made and then get them to site. It's still taking just as long as if we dump a load of timber and the guys knock them in together. But when we get it right and get the supply, you're going to see you're going to see build times really shorten, because that's good few weeks of making that shorter. And then if you're using veneer and then bricks, it'll be a little bit quicker.
In terms of government compliance, obviously we're rolling out 7-star rating this year. It's going to be a top 4.5. We're going to be, discussing that in another podcast. But how do you see that in terms of now, you're having to go and source products to meet that need from the government? Yeah,
so we've been, it's been like duck's legs underwater, getting things in place. The good thing is the East Coast has already made that change.
Yeah.
So this happens 1st of May. We go from 6 stars to 7 stars. We're really kind of pinching the ideas and products that the East Coast already has in place. But with the WA twist, because we do build more in brick, double brick, but yeah, so not everything is transferable, and for those scenarios, we still have to come up with solutions. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, that's another one of those little changes. A big change, really.
I suppose being a national brand, that would help because you just phone the counterparts and say, right, what do you guys do? And
Exactly.
you've already got the suppliers and ready, and then just, this is what we want. Do we have it in WA to source it? Do you try and source a lot from WA if you can?
We do, yeah. And it's really important that our suppliers keep stock in WA as well. We can only hold so much stock, and if you have a bumper order, then that's going to take the stock out, and they want more. So we need suppliers to support us locally. That's so important.
Sure.
We do pinch. We do get stock over east as well, but and pinch their ideas. But it's going to be a big change, and as I said, not everything is transferable. So it still has to go through Green Star ratings, and each house is different.
What's the biggest product you're seeing that's having the longest lead time that you supply from a building sort of thing? Like this one, we have to, like we look at some carpets. We're a 12-week lead time on carpets and stuff like that. So when we know we're building houses, the builder has to plan for about 12 weeks, and then sometimes they'll only hold it for 2. So you've got like a 14-week, obviously, because you can't say supply this day and if there's a couple of days of rain and then it held up. But yeah, what's the kind of one that you're seeing that's like?
Yeah, 12 weeks is a long lead time. I don't really see anything.
That's just for carpets,
for carpets, which we don't supply. But if we're getting anything directly from overseas, a container dropped into our yard, something like that, we'll see 12 weeks. But that tends to be products that we support and stock locally. So we give commitments to stock locally to those suppliers. So longest lead times, I try and throw out to builders, give us 6 weeks notice, on anything that you're ordering, and then as you get closer to the time you need it up on site, say 2 weeks out from needing it on site, cool it up at that stage. Give us a date to send it out to site. So you've got 2 weeks to adjust.
Just being organised and stuff.
Being organised. So 6 weeks is a good rule of thumb. As a builder or a trade, if you're ordering product, get it ordered early, because if it's a door and suddenly it's a custom made door, or it's just a weird size. Or it's one that's not kept in stock from Hume or Corinthian, then you could be getting it manufactured in New South Wales, and that's your 6 weeks right there.
Right, okay, cool. So that's it. So if you're building a house, you're with a builder, if you're going off the main booklet they give you at pre-start, you probably find that most of that's in stock.
Yes.
Whereas if you're going custom or something a bit unique, you just understand. So then that's why we do pre-start at the start, so we've got everything loaded up, right?
So for 2025, do we have anything exciting in terms of products coming in that, it might not be exciting for the consumer, but, for people in the business, they might be excited.
No,
what's coming out?
There is, I always say with new product, it's like the vitality of a business, and it's a vitality of conversations. And when we're dealing with business to business, we're dealing with trades, we're dealing with builders. Does these new products do impact their business? It does get them excited. And one of the ones that I've had the biggest reaction to, but no uptake in trades, it's a weird one, is a retaining wall product called Super Sleeper. So dropping that in, we get that directly out of China, so it's a Chinese product. We do stock that locally, and I'm showing this to guys doing retaining walls. We took it in to see one of the big builders, and they're looking at doing a land development with it. Partially replacing some of the retaining on a land development to use this product. And it's a lightweight retaining wall product. So it's made from composite fibres, kind of like fiberglass, but stronger.
Okay.
And so it's really lightweight. You use it as post and panel retaining. So you've got your posts, vertical posts, and your horizontal sleepers, and it just slots together. And it's a tongue and groove as well, so you don't get all this sand leaking through that you might get with your typical post and panel, concrete post and panel. So, and the look is quite good. It's a very modern look.
Okay.
You can also paint it, you just paint it white if you want. It comes grey. It's only one colour, but you can paint it any colour you want. And it's more cost effective than concrete sleepers.
Okay.
So it kind of wins on a lot of fronts. Lighter, faster install, cheaper to buy, stronger. It's fully engineered, so you don't have to go to an engineer, get it engineered for install to a metre. Anything over that, you're doing in engineering. But a lot of trades are getting excited about that. But it takes a long time to put a product in or put a product forward for a job and win the job, get it to sell.
Yeah, roll it out. Yeah.
I had that on the market for about 6 months now. And we're still waiting for some of those jobs to roll through. But the public have been coming through and buying it.
Oh,
So
interesting.
that's been
There you go.
yeah. So the demand is definitely there for the product. We've just got to get these trades putting it forward and winning the work.
Yeah.
It's like similar to going away from like fence posts to that aluminium slat looking, like I think, is it not, I don't think it's the same, but the similar sort of idea of it would be,
That's right.
because it's longer lasting, it looks like fences and it just
Absolutely.
looks good. I've certainly installed it before and it looks good.
And you can, with this retaining wall product, you can put fencing on top as well. So that slatted fencing or your colourblind fencing, which is more typical.
Yeah.
You can actually bolt it on. But the trades are a bit sceptical about bolting on, which is fine. You can concrete it in a traditional way, do fencing. But yeah, you can bolt it on as well, which and it's all in line, so you're not taking up as much. You're doing your retaining here and then your fence there, and using up 300, 400 mil.
Yeah, which
More compact.
is super important nowadays with the blocks getting smaller, right? Yeah,
absolutely, yeah. So yeah, that's a great product. We've also recently, just last week, and this product's been out for a while, but they've been developing, Tillings have been developing more and more sizes in this product. It's called Smart Tenant.
Okay.
And it's a framing material. If carpenters are listening, you may have even played around with this material. We know a carpenter that's actually put a house up entirely in Smart 10.
Okay.
And it's an alternative to H2, H3 treated pine. The problem with H2 in particular is it bends. It's very bendy. As soon as you cut the pack open, it goes like a banana.
Yeah.
And that goes out to side, and the guys are trying to straighten it out, and then you get your walls up, and your walls are, if there's humidity like we've had over the past couple of weeks, a lot of humidity, that wall is going to start bending as well and move. It's natural timber, that's what it does.
Okay.
Smart 10 is dead straight. It's like an LVL, so it's a laminated lumber. And it's dead straight. It stays dead straight. It's structurally very strong as well. I think it's just engineered to the same standard as H2. But and it's the same size as your H2s as well. But they've just recently released more sizes, and so that allows us to essentially build almost an entire house out of Smart 10.
Okay.
And we can do that in as a stick build, so we can do stick frames, stick roofs, and I believe it's in the I know it's in the truss area as well.
So it could be used for prefabs and all that kind of thing as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
And excuse my ignorance on this, so treated properly, termite, all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
H2 treated. They don't have a H3 option, and that's where we still need to keep.
Okay.
Say for your bottom plates and your top plates, we still need H3 timber in there. It's for termite and exposure.
Yep.
Maybe in some sort of valley areas, but it's a very promising timber. The other thing is it's a little bit cheaper. We're getting special pricing in WA on this. It's straight from the supplier. WA across the board is getting special pricing on this Smart 10 framing material. Okay. So it is a little bit cheaper now, but try it out. And particularly like if you're a carpenter, you have to go to a house and straighten your walls. You'll know that's going to take a couple of guys, 3 guys, maybe a whole day, could take longer. And then if it bends again, you're back there trying to straighten the walls before you put your plaster up. So this takes that work away altogether. So I believe there's certainly a savings when it comes to install.
Yeah.
Right now there's a cost savings. Down the track, I don't know, but I think the price will go up in WA once it gets in traction.
Yeah. Okay. But if maybe the install labour maybe a bit cheaper. The more going back to fix it again. Yeah.
So you might pay a little bit more up front, but the savings are still there.
Okay, cool. So let's go with one more to wrap up the episode, one more exciting product for 2025.
Yeah, so again, connected to the lightweight framing that we just talked about with Smart 10 is the EPS cladding that goes on. And I shouldn't just mention, it's cladding in general. There's a lot of new products coming out in cladding. James Hardie have some new concrete brushed looks and other sort of negative detail looks going on. Mm-hmm. So there's always something happening in the cladding space. But one of the things that's a little bit untouched in a WA sense is this EPS cladding. And it's essentially a 75 mil thick panel of foam. Mm-hmm. Right, it's construction grade foam, so it's not just foam. There's more to it. And some of it even comes with pest protection and bell ratings, so you can put it up in like a bell 29 area.
Okay.
You fix it to the outside of the timber frame or steel frame and render over the top of it. And that, because of the thickness of the foam, it gives you an insulation rating. So you can actually achieve, just by putting it without any insulation in the wall, you can achieve like a 2.8 R2.8 rating. So, and then you go and put insulation in the wall and you're even better insulated. So yeah,
And that's seen more in the commercial space, the APS panels. Well, I've certainly my more experience in the commercial sort of space rather than residential. But I've certainly seen, your big shopping centres are just big, massive panels slotted in, and then the finishing. You don't even see it, but yeah, that's where it comes from. Well, my understanding. Yeah.
And what you tend to see on those commercial side of things is more SIPS panels.
Yeah.
So they've got something clad on the outside of that foam, whereas this foam product is just the foam itself. So it's very light to install, right? So yeah, some of those SIP panels can get a bit weighty.
Yeah.
They're not that heavy, but
So that was referring to the kind of SIPS panel thing. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, SIPS panel. So this is just the foam panel, and then you fix that on. So it's very lightweight to install, very quick to install compared to other cladding.
Yep.
And then you render over it, so you do have that extra stuff.
Yeah, very similar to a product I looked at a couple of years ago was that hemp paneling, but it was super expensive. So it was, but you'll get like a 9-star energy rating and like no air con, but it's really hard to install.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a whole nother episode there. That one, I was interested, but then I saw the price and I was like, wow.
Yeah, and there's other products that slot into that as well in terms of that insulation. Yeah, thick panel. There's Hebel panel, and that is heavy to install, but it also gives a better acoustic value.
Yep.
So again, it's just looking at the needs of the person that's living in the house versus cost.
Yep.
And weighing all that up.
That hemp stuff was all down Margaret River. So that kind of that type of person, if you want to call that way, the kind of more eco-friendly kind of people with the villages. Anyway, brilliant. We could go for hours, I think, with this stuff.
No, exciting things coming for 2025. It'll be good. It'll be good to see them rolling out as well in the industry and actually seeing it,
I think we'll
houses.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think we'll definitely get you back in a few months to give us an update on those things and go through that, because that stuff is I think really interesting for people who are out there wanting to build a house, but they want different options now. Okay, so these are the kind of things they can go to the builders who do offer this product. So
yeah, and also for the tradies listening, that are interested in seeing what's coming out from the supply.
And could I just say, if there's any tradies out there that are struggling to, or have seen a product that they'd like to use and like to see in the WA market, or they're struggling to get supply of a particular type of product, reach out and we'll have a conversation. If we can make it work for our business and for you, that would be a great partnership.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, if you, Dan Waters at Mitre 10, if not, come through our channels, guys, as we normally do, and we'll put you in touch. Happy to do that. Well, that's us. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
As always, guys, like, share, follow, subscribe, comment, as we always do, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
This is the Build Out West podcast with your host Tony Hyde from Evolution House and Lawn Specialists and Catherine Smith from Build Bright Builder Brokers.
If you guys are looking to build in WA or simply curious to see what's going on in building, you guys are in the right place. We're here to give insight with professionals in the game, coming to give the inside scoop. Episodes are uploaded weekly, so don't worry, we don't skip a beat and you won't either. Like, share, subscribe, sit back, relax, and let's go.